So, hi, Bolaji. Thank you very much for giving us a bit of your time. The ADC is reported to be one of the brightest and newest political party in Nigeria, attracting seasoned professionals so far. Tell me, as a leading member of the party, national publicity secretary, or the national spokesperson of the party, tell me what happened before the decision was made to form this opposition party, which appears to be attracting everybody from across Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. There are two, where to begin is to look at the trajectory of Nigerian politics since 2023. The APC won the election and became the ruling party under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But what we have seen since 2023 that President Tinubu had assumed power in Nigeria is a deliberate and calculated attempt to destabilize all opposition political parties in a way that made all politicians to suspect that President Tinubu and APC appear to have an agenda to turn Nigeria to a one-party state. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, had existed since 1999, but it has faced the kind of internal crisis that it has faced has threatened the very existence of that political party today, that no one can tell you who is fully in charge of the PDP at this time. No thanks to the machinations of the ruling party. The same virus that afflicted the PDP afflicted other opposition political parties, the SDP, the Labour Party of Mr. Peter Obi, and the rest of them. No one can tell you today who is the chairman of the Labour Party, you know. So it was this development that made political gladiators and political leaders in the opposition ranks to come together in a coalition to say, look, if we are not careful, if we don't create an alternative platform, we may wake up and find that Nigeria has effectively become a one-party state. So in the course of the conversations, the decision was whether to register a new political party or to for everyone to come into an existing political party. So we decided to use the two approaches, register the political party and also try to find a political party that is suitable for the kind of coalition we try to build. But we knew that government was not going to allow us to register a new political party. I mean, the government that made it impossible for us to remain in our own political parties would not allow us to register a new political party, And they had tried it before. President Goodluck Jonathan allowed them to register APC in 2015, so they're never going to allow another such party to emerge. And that was what led us to the African Democratic Congress. So the African Democratic Congress today effectively has become the opposition political party in Nigeria. So you see, anybody that is somebody in Nigerian politics today, is either you are part of the ruling APC or you are in the opposition coalition. That is what.
But is the ADC attractive enough? Because there are rumors that some political giants are ready to join. There are reports of that, but are they materializing? Because you have less than a year for the elections in Nigeria.
No, 2 years actually. Our election is going to be in 2027.
2 years. Yeah, 2 years.
Our election. Peter, let me point something out. Fourth Republic, everything that had come to become Nigeria's Fourth Republic that has lasted 26 years now, everything changed in 10 months. Everything, all the dynamics changed in 10 months. No one expected General Sani Abacha to die. General Sani Abacha died. General Abubakar Abusalami took over. Transition within 10 months, we have this democracy, 26 years now. So 2 years is a long time in political terms. What has become clear, and the ruling party, in a way, can be given the credit for helping to form the coalition. How? Because by creating a condition that made it impossible for everybody to remain in their original party. By destabilizing all opposition political parties, they have left nobody with only one choice. You join us or you join the ADC. Right. As you can see, the PDP is still battling with who is in charge, who is going to call the convention, whether they will be able to hold their convention in November or not. They are still grappling with that. So the government has created a very simple situation for us. So, and that is why for majority of Nigerians today, it's either you join the ruling party, the APC, or you join the coalition ADC. So
But Bolaji, supporters of the government have sharply denied the accusations that the government is behind the so-called implosion or disaffection or disunity among opposition parties, and that you have to deal with your own internal problems rather than hurl it at the ruling party that is doing well for the people of Nigeria, they argue. They said they are too busy trying to find solutions to the challenges Nigerians face and not to be saddled with the internal or lack of internal democracy in opposition political parties or the infighting or the political crisis opposition parties are facing internally. Your response to that?
You see, as a matter of fact, what we are witnessing under this administration is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. This is the first time you have a government that has not spent 2 years in power, but is already in full campaign mode. I mean, you drive from Abuja airport to the city center. What do you see? The campaign billboard of President Bolaji Abdullahi. It had never happened in the history of Nigeria. At 2 years to election, you will see the entire street from the airport right to the city center littered with billboard, campaign billboard of President Bolaji Abdullahi, full 2 years to an election. So what are they busy doing? I mean, they denied, of course, they will deny that they had a hand in it, but the person that is destabilizing the PDP today is a minister in their government who has remained a member of the PDP, who has continued to heckle the PDP, who has continued to challenge the leadership of the PDP, who had made sure that at every point that the PDP called a meeting, he calls a counter meeting. And only last week, the chairman of the PDP, Damagun, wrote a letter to INEC that they are planning to hold to postpone congresses in some states. The national secretary of PDP, who belongs to this minister, wrote a letter to INEC countering his chairman, saying that the congresses will go ahead. I mean, so the government can deny as much as they want, but it is clear to us what they are doing. They know that on the basis of what they have done in the last 2 years, Nigerians will reject them in 2027. They know. And that is why it's a deliberate and calculated strategy to ensure that opposition parties do not survive and are not in a position to feel. If you listen to the rhetoric of government operatives, they don't talk about 2027. They talk about 2031. They tell everybody, no, there is no vacancy. Wait until 2031. What do you think they are talking about? So this is a government that is so obsessed with remaining in power, and they know that based on what they have done in the last 2 years, the kind of catastrophic economic policies they have visited on Nigerians, they know Nigerians will say no to them. So
now, talking about economic situation in Nigeria, the president, during the recent celebration of Nigerian independence, says the tough decisions have already been made. The challenges have been tough on Nigerians, but the worst has already happened, and Nigeria is about to take off due to the unpalatable economic solutions that he propounded since his swearing in, including the removal of subsidy day one that he entered office, and that Nigeria is about to take off. Nigeria is ready for prime time. Nigeria is ready for business and investors. These are his words during the independence celebration of Nigeria, and that Nigerians will be better off due to the economic measures his administration has implemented.
Well, I'm glad you read it right, because you mentioned investors. When I listened to the president, as a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I had a feeling he was talking to some investors outside the country, not to Nigeria. I had a feeling that the people he was talking to were people that he wants to attract to Nigeria, or some international agencies somewhere, definitely not to Nigerians. because the president said the worst is over. Then we should ask him, what exactly does that mean? Now that you say the worst is over, what should we now expect? You are telling the people whose family have been slaughtered in Kwara State last week that the worst is over. So what does that mean? For them, the worst has just started. Security had assumed a monumental proportion like we had never seen before in this country. Before, it used to be a corner of the country. It's now all over the country. People are either being kidnapped or being killed at will, and the government, the president had nothing to say. In Zamfara, in Kwara, marauders are entering village and slaughtering people. The president had the opportunity to address the nation. He did not say a word about it. He said the worst is over. What does that mean? He said the worst is over. What does that promise the man who is not able to feed his child? Because if our president is saying the worst is over, I will expect him to say, okay, you have suffered in the last 2 years because of our economic policy. Now the worst is over. Going forward, this is XYZ that you will now expect to get. That's the kind of thing you expect the president to say. So what you see is just political speech making that in substance doesn't mean anything. I mean, if you listen to the president, he said, we are building hospitals. When does building hospitals become an efficient medical system? We are building schools. When does building schools become an efficient education system? You know, so the president is not addressing anything. He's just making slogan. Beautiful speech, I must agree, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything.
There are suggestions that the opposition's front is too divided, ostensibly going to give the president and the APC the platform in the next 2 years election to win. What say you? Do you think your party is attracting the political giants in Nigeria who are formed a coalition, and who can you boast of that you think can wrestle power from the dominance of the APC, since they've been in power now for over 8 years, approximately 10 for?
You see, let me assure you one thing. The coalition we are building is bigger than the ADC. People say, oh, the African Democratic Congress is the party, right? But I can assure you there are so many people in the National Assembly who cannot come to the ADC now because of the implication. I mean, if their party is not officially declared as factionalized, if they move from their party, they will lose their seat. So there are so many governors who cannot come out now for the fear of measures that the ruling party can take against them. But I can tell you that what we are building is a movement of Nigerian people who have suffered from the misgovernance of the APC over the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, I was in the APC at the time. What we did was we promised Nigerians change. We promised Nigerians change. We said everything was going to happen. And some of us worked very hard to develop policies we thought would deliver to Nigeria. The first thing that was done was for the government to deny those policies that we designed. They say, oh, it's just some party people that did that. Now, this government came and promised renewed hope. When it suits them, they deny the Buhari administration. They say, oh, that's not us, even though it's APC, that's not us. When it suits them, they claim it. They say, oh, that's our government, you know. So, but what is clear is that Nigerians have suffered so much in the hand of this administration. What Nigerians have seen, what they call renewed hope, has become renewed hopelessness. And Nigerians are suffering the way they have not suffered before. You see, people like me can sit here and you think, oh, it's just an opposition person talking. But we have relatives. I know the kind of people who never beg for money, who beg money today, who send messages to us and beg for money because of what this government has done. The minimum wage is 70,000 naira. If you pay 70,000 naira, it's still below poverty line by global standard. So what does that mean? Nothing. So Nigerians want to return, and plus that, the government is taxing everything. By next year, if you have money in banks, even if you send money to your child to pay school fees, government is going to tax that. They've said it. You pay 5% tax on petrol, they say they are suspending that. You pay 5% aviation tax. You pay tax on everything. So you remove fuel subsidy, The only thing Nigerians benefit from being a country that produces crude oil, you take that away because you cannot fight the corruption attached to the delivery of subsidy. It's easier for you to take away the subsidy rather than sanitize the application of subsidy. You devalue the naira, you say, oh, the currency should be allowed to find its level, right? A country that barely produces anything apart from crude is floating its naira. Even IMF was shocked that you were willing to go that far, right? Then 3, you are taxing everything. Come on. So what I'm saying in essence to you, Peter, is that it is not a contest between ADC and APC. It's a contest between the Nigerian people and ADC. And that's what is going to unfold in 2027. It's not about big wigs. It's not about how many governors we have. It's not about how many senators we have. It's about Nigerian people determined to take their country back.
The Nigerian people willing to bring the change that they want, because it was change that brought the APC to power, and former deceased president Muhammadu Buhari, now Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president who was elected 2 years ago, is in charge. So they've been in charge for the past 10 years approximately. Do you think the change that Nigerians seek will materialize?
Yeah, you see, Peter, I know what you are alluding to, and I must agree with you that Nigerians have become cynical because Nigerians trusted the message of change in 2015. Nigerians were galvanized and were mobilized the way they had never been mobilized before. Across the country, people were paying money to support the Buhari campaign. Nigerians believed, younger people believed, that something drastic was about to change in their country. But 10 years after this, here we are. Nothing has changed. If anything, things have gotten worse. So Nigerians have the right to be cynical. Nigerians have the right to say, look, and they look at ADC, they see that many of our leaders are the same people that were part of the promise of change in 2015. So they say, look, it's the same people. But what we tell them is, number one, politics can only be practiced by politicians. We're not going to manufacture a new political class overnight. 2, we're not going to go to Kumasi to bring new politicians. We are going to bring politicians from Nigeria, whether we like it or not, right? So, having said that, we have to continue to trust that we have a country to build. We cannot give up on our country. And we have to believe that we must build institutions that are more powerful than individuals. Oh, the mistake we made in 2015 was we trusted an individual. President Buhari, we thought that once we had President Buhari in place, all our problems would be solved. By the mere presence of President Buhari, Nigeria will just transform. But we have learned our lesson. From the frying pan of President Buhari, we have jumped into the fire of President Bola Tinubu. But what we are telling ourselves is that, hang on, we must correct that mistake. Now we must build an institution. We must build a political party that will be bigger than everybody, that is able to discipline its own member, that is able to declare from day one that this is what our party stands for, and hope that Nigerians will bet on our side once again. Because in any case, what option do they have? To allow this Bola Tinubu and his APC to continue, or to bet on the side of people who are saying, no, let's take our country back? So that's it.
Thank you very much, Bolaji Abdullahi, for speaking with us today. The conversation will continue. We'll revisit some of these structures that the ADC is coming up with to ensure transparency in the process to the people of Nigeria. We look forward to speaking to you again shortly.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. All the best, my brother.